Thank you for joining us for another episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. I am one of those people. I am Michelle Kane. My company is Voice Matters, and I am here with my wonderful co-host, Karen Swim, who pulls all of us together at Solo PR Pro. How are you doing, Karen?
I'm doing great, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. You know, first day of summer is behind us. And
can I be perfectly honest and tell you that I missed it?
I almost did too. I thought, I still think we're in that, I hate to say pandemic ramp down, but, you know, of still kind of like blurring past some of these milestones. And I feel like I have to be more intentional about, oh, right, this is this day. This is what I normally feel on this day.
Yeah.
To kind of get some of that back.
I actually enjoy celebrating the start of summer. And somebody sent an email and I just, I was like, oh, is that happening soon? Still like not computing that.
I know.
It happened and I missed it. So
yeah. Oh, July 4th is when? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm not in touch with that at all.
No, we've got time.
Well, I'm excited to kick off summer with a little spice, a little sauciness for the summer.
Yes, today we're going to talk about hot topics.
Hot topics.
Because we certainly have.
They're hot. I mean, outside of the PR world, people would be like, is that really your version of like a hot topic? This is not the Wendy Williams show, but
how you doing?
In line with our branding.
That's right. We have to keep it in our own little nerdosphere.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to kick this off with Blade. Was that a Wesley Snipes movie? Anyway,
yeah,
I don't know.
It is.
Right? Well, not that, but the Uber for helicopters that invented a fake spokesperson that they used for 3 years. And gee, how unethical is that? That's amazing.
Yeah. So if you guys have not read this story, it was in Business Insider. And if you don't have a subscription, we will share a link in our show notes that is a public link. And I believe the story came out on Monday and it swept through the PR world because it's absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of stuff that puts, public relations in a terrible light. So first and foremost, it's completely unethical. I still like am shocked every time I read it again because it was the CEO of the company who created this fake name and fake person, and they made it a real person. And he was the spokesperson for the company for 3 whole years. So the lie was sustained. The lie involved the rest of the company. So imagine, we talk a lot about ethics and how ethical leadership produces the best results and how it's really important to have a foundation of ethics and to have this culture of two-way communication so that your employees are comfortable mentioning red flags. And the CEO initiated this unethical behavior, roped his entire staff into it, had people calling and booking meetings with this fake spokesperson.
Right.
And the lack of trust from the media is one level of it, but how are customers supposed to trust anything that you say when you weren't even honest about who your spokesperson was?
Right. And I mean, the lengths to which they took this, they had a blog on Medium under this fake person's byline. And then they created this whole internal drama when this person that doesn't even exist was let go. And that was shortly before the company went public because surely they had an idea that, we might get found out. Well, guess what? You did get found out and you sound ridiculous. And now you expect us to trust you to take us up in the air?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's a really good point because we know, if you go back and look at Edelman Trust Barometer over the past several years, you will see why we're hammering on this topic. Trust is so critical, and
Yeah.
it always has been, because you buy from people that you like, know, trust.
Right.
If I'm going up in a helicopter, I want to know that the company has a great safety record. And if
Yeah.
you lied about your spokesperson, what else are you lying about? Are you lying about your
Right.
safety standards? Are you lying
Right.
about your records? I mean, it just calls everything into question for me, and I'm sure many other consumers. Here's the thing that I still cannot understand.
Yeah.
It's so unnecessary to create a fake persona to talk to the media. The
Right.
CEO could have been the spokesperson for the company. Many
Right.
of our own clients, our CEOs are one or the only spokesperson. That's
Exactly.
perfectly acceptable, and it's a great thing. The media loves talking to the CEO of the company and getting that leadership perspective and getting the broader vision. So
Right.
I have no idea why they felt the need even to engage in this unethical behavior. It was just dumb. Like,
Yeah.
it was a dumb decision.
And to take it to the degree they did, just it was just turned around to be so flat out disrespectful to anyone that they work with. That, oh, you think this is cute? You think this is funny? I mean, what is the
Well,
point?
can you imagine newsrooms across the country who spoke with and covered this
Oh,
person? Because what they don't understand is that as a reporter, this is your job and your integrity, and you're
right.
a professional as well. And to find out that you published something that was really a lie,
Yeah.
and now you don't even know if what any of what they said was true, because they
Right.
couldn't even be, honest about who you were speaking with. I
Right.
feel like it really is not just disrespectful, but you put those journalists in a terrible position within their
Yeah.
own companies
Right.
and make them look bad. You have diminished their integrity with their audience as well, and that just is not okay to me.
Yeah. No.
It's not okay.
No, it makes no sense. It was a really stupid move, and it kind of speaks to our next hot topic of, it adds to the notion that as anyone with a keyboard who can string a line together can do our jobs. It's like, oh, okay, I understand you. And we've all seen how this does not work. And, some companies are still okay with that. And some, thankfully see the error of their ways and they come back round. But another trend we are seeing, and it's not even only in our industry, but the Great Resignation. People are just quitting their jobs. We are seeing staffing shortages everywhere. And, in some industries like the summer restaurant industry, I know,
Yeah.
living as close as I do to the Jersey Shore, they rely on a lot of foreign college students coming in and working for the summer. It's Wildwood's usually full of Irish kids who come for the summer to work, but the COVID has
Yeah.
really put a kibosh on that. So between that and people just reevaluating, I get
Well,
paid.
it's funny that you say that, because
Yeah.
that's working in reverse too. We've got other countries, saying, come work here for a year. We'll give you free rent. We'll give
Yeah.
you this. We'll give you that. And, people are like, hey, I wanted to be a digital nomad. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Airbnb had something where you could come and live in their different properties for a 1-year contract of just, working and living from everywhere. So,
Yeah.
it's an environment that, just like the housing market is a seller's market right now, I feel like
Yeah.
this is a worker's market.
Oh, like I've never seen, I know, in my lifetime, which is kind of exciting. And it's like, whoa, let's see where this goes. I've seen, restaurant owners at the Jersey Shore have said, please, summer is here, and that means crowds, people are here. And so please know that your dining experience may take 3 hours because we do not have the people. So just know
Yeah.
accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we're seeing, airline short. I mean,
yeah,
there's definitely, and I'm sure that many of you solos out there, I'm seeing this with my clients, they're having a hard time filling positions.
yeah,
They're paying great money and
yeah,
great companies, and they are just not finding the talent. But I
yeah.
know that you guys are like, okay, but we're solo PR pros. What on earth does this have to do with all of us? We're going to tell you.
Oh,
Because the Great Resignation does not have to be about just traditional employees. We think that solos need to get in on some of this action and start to get a little more chutzpah and resign from some of those rotten, horrible, toxic, abusive clients. It is a market where the work is out there, and it drives me crazy when I hear solos say, maybe you had a downturn during the pandemic because of the markets that you serve and you're kind of rebuilding your business and
Sure.
you're a little shaky. And I completely understand that. So know, first of all, that I understand it and we empathize with your position. But what I hear are things like, well, I only have one client right now as I'm building my business back up. And so I have to do this, or I have to keep this work, or I have to do these things you're asking me to do. And I know that this is not the right way. But I have to. No, you don't. You have to if that's what you believe, because that's what you believe. But if you believe that, hey, I don't have to take anything that is not aligned with the business that I want to have and the life that I want to have, then that's true too. And we want you to see that there are agencies that can't find people. They can't find talent. They're shorthanded. There are internal departments that are overwhelmed right now. They can't focus on anything because they have too many priorities and they can't do all the work themselves. There are companies that need to get their brand out there. They need help with their brand storytelling. They need help with, earned media. They need help with content marketing. So there is just an abundance of opportunities for solo PR pros. And in this environment, you need to seize this spirit of, we're not going to take it anymore.
Cue the quiet riot.
That's how I feel like. I feel like there's this big, I feel like everybody is giving everything a middle finger. Like, we're not going back to the office. You figure out a different way for me to work. By the way, take your job and stick it where the sun don't shine. I just feel like people have just the pandemic has unleashed this confidence in people. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not taking that.
It has. It has. We've had too much time to think.
Too much time to think. And it's and by the way, while I was off working at home, being really happy, I realized I don't want to commute for a whole hour to and from work every day. Right. And all of those meetings that you pulled me into in my office, I don't want to do that anymore. And how about I realized that I kind of hate you too.
Well, first of all, you're giving me marching band bus flashbacks. Now I've got Quiet Riot in my head. But anyway.
This is where we need Jennifer Garner. Jennifer Garner, if you're out there and you want to share a clip of our show and put on your band outfit and grab your instrument, we will love you.
Bandos unite. Yes. But it's so true. I mean, not only do client relationships have a life cycle, right? I was talking about this with another friend / colleague yesterday. You can feel when either you're starting to pull away or they are, right? You just kind of get weary. Maybe it's just been too long, or it's, you've taken them to a certain level and that, maybe they're not ready for the next, or you're not the one to take them there. There's so much opportunity to be had. And it's as simple, and I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to everyone else. Yeah. It's as simple as, the agencies in your area, or hey, we've got Wi-Fi. We can touch base with anybody.
Yes.
Drop a line. Yeah. Find someone who knows someone. Just put the feelers out. Use LinkedIn. Send an email. Yeah. You don't know if you might be the answer to someone's prayer, going like, oh my gosh, I need to find someone really good who does this.
You guys, I promise you, there's so much work out there. There is so much work, but Michelle is right. You have to ask for it. You have to look for it. You cannot sit on the sidelines. And here's the great thing. Our solo audience is in the perfect position to take advantage of this wave of need, because you're experienced. No one has to train you to do your job. You're seasoned professionals. You know strategy. You're not just a one-trick pony. So you have the benefit over maybe people that are limited by job descriptions and the kinds of things that they can do because you have a breadth and depth of knowledge and you understand full public relations. I mean, you have the skill set, the experience. People want you. You
Yeah.
just have to let them know that you're out there and you're available. And so please do not feel like you have to take less than or you're scrounging for crumbs because there's so much work. So
Right.
much work.
Right. And from the financial perspective, you might think, "Oh, I might not get my rate." Look, listen, it's far more expensive for them to employ you. Once you add the employment tax on top and benefits and this, that, and the other, you come at a bargain even at your full rate. So don't forget that.
Please
Do
don't
not
forget
forget that.
that.
No.
So I think we started with lies, but I think, in the vein of, systems and structures and processes like falling down or we're burning it down. It seems like athletes are leading the way at changing
Yeah.
the media relations for their sport. And I think that that is going to have some overflow.
Yes.
I kind of love this. I
Yeah.
love the media and I love the journalists who are addressing this trend as well and are so self-aware and saying it's not them. Maybe it's us. Maybe we need to look at how we handle these press conferences and do it a little bit differently. But I
Right.
love that this whole infrastructure is crashing down
Yeah.
around us.
Yeah.
Because it
It's
needed to die.
yeah. It started with the bravery of Naomi Osaka, who said, "I'm not doing these press conferences," and I had no idea that these were contractual obligations. And I think, I'm sorry, you're an elite athlete. Your job is to win at your sport, not, oh, and then you have to sit at this table and be peppered with questions. That's right, Finnegan. If you're my
I
dog barking in
agree.
agreement.
I
Uh,
agree. And I think it speaks to that whole like blurring of the lines. Like I
yeah,
truly enjoy sports reporting. I love a deep analysis of the game. I love, it, when it sticks to the sport itself. And yeah, it's nice to get, background stories on the athletes, but I think that this whole cuz it feels like it's an ambush style interview that thank you tabloids for that culture really taking hold in journalism. And so I think that and that's created a lot of problems, right? Because now everybody is writing for links and clicks and it's not the journalists that want to do this, it's the media properties that employ them that are all going for the gotcha. And that whole gotcha culture has taken over for great reporting. And I know that journalists want to do great reporting. They love the meaty stories. And, and if they're humorous, they want to write humor stories. They all want to do their jobs because they're professionals too. And they're
right.
caught between a rock and a hard place as well. But I think this needs to change and it will be better for them because they get to go back to doing what they really went to school to do, what they trained to do, what they
Right.
want to do. And not, have to play these stupid games. And I
Yeah.
always like cringe, like somebody just lost a match and you're asking them these questions. It's so demoralizing and
Yeah.
so like ick. Like,
Yeah.
how the hell do you think I feel? It's like the stories where somebody's house burned down and you say, how are you feeling
How do
right
you
now?
feel? Well, how do you think
I
I
feel like
feel?
punching you in the face because I just lost everything that I had.
Well,
That's how I really feel.
and I think too, there's a couple of things on this front. Just because you're an elite athlete doesn't mean that you are skilled at fielding, a full-on press conference. That may not be in your wheelhouse. It's not like you're
Yeah.
a singer or an actor where your job is to communicate
Yeah.
and talk about the art that you're communicating. You're hitting a ball with skill, you're strategizing. That's not I remember, back in the 70s, the Phillies locker room, Steve Carlton never gave an interview. Like, he's Steve
Yeah.
Carlton. He's one of the best pitchers in the world. I don't know what his reasons were, except maybe he thought, I'm not good at this, or I'm a quiet, private guy, or what I did on the field, I gave you enough to talk about. You don't need to ask me about it. I don't know.
I
Those are
mean, I
my
have to
guesses.
say, if we go to the world of entertainment, Beyonce doesn't do interviews.
Right.
Doesn't
Right.
make her any less entertaining. I
No.
know that Chip, our friend Chip, hey Chip, has made a point that he has a different point of view, that he feels that athletes are not just athletes, they're entertainers, but he does agree that they should accommodate mental health issues.
Oh,
And I
totally.
we concur on that point, that needs to be taken into account. And I think
Yeah.
that applies to everyone.
Yeah.
And so he's saying that, the prize money comes from eyeballs to watch on TV, and a lot of the TV time is not the matches and the games. That's a good point too. So I think let's look at how we can make the system better.
Yeah.
And
Not so predatory.
yeah, I mean, and I think I get the entertainment part of it, but that entertainment for me, and I think for other
Yeah.
fans of any sport, is the play, it's the game, it's the
Yeah.
sport, it's what they
Yeah.
do on the courts, that and on the fields, that's where you're entertained, because you love the game and you love watching people play it and excel at it, and that's where I don't think that they owe me their life. I don't think
Right.
that they have to be put on the spot and made to feel uncomfortable. That's not entertaining for me. Maybe it is for some people. And again, I do enjoy, reading good profiles and learning
Right.
more about their strategy. But I think that we're talking about a timing issue. And I think that it should be on their terms, quite
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. I think, yeah, especially in the area of sports. I almost said arena of sports, but we don't want to do bad puns here on that solo life.
Yeah.
Where it's
Why
almost
not? We're PR people.
where it's such a data driven. You're either the fastest or you score the most. It's not like asking Meryl Streep, well, how did you embody this person to make me cry for 20 minutes, kind of thing. Although
Yeah.
I will say good
Yeah.
sports
No, I
writing.
agree. I
Good
agree.
sports. Shout out to good sports writing. There is a certain romance to good sports writing. I can read World Series articles that just make me bawl like a baby. So shout out to those reporters who can spin a good yarn
Can I
that way.
just tell you that don't hate me. I know you and Daria. I'm not a baseball fan. I
That's
enjoy
okay.
going to baseball games. I know Chip is also a baseball fan, and he actually, is a ref too. But
Oh,
I
wow.
don't like watching them.
Yeah.
But I
What's your sport?
love those reporters that write those great baseball stories.
Right?
I read them,
Yeah.
and I enjoy them. And I'm not even somebody like,
Yeah.
I don't know what he's talking about and some, the technical stuff. And I don't know the people, but I'm sorry.
Fires. That's
An
all right.
umpire.
I let it go.
told you,
I'm like, we know what you meant. The
I know
people that
baseball.
call the things. Yeah.
Is it a ref?
Well, I'm still getting out of my Sixers depression. So, I need a Xanax after that last playoff game.
Yeah. So have we covered the gamut of everything? I don't know, you guys.
So. I think we covered
Yeah.
some hot topics today. Give you a lot to grab some popcorn and join us.
Because it's summer and we wanted to lighten things up a little bit. And it's important to talk about these issues and topics as we think about, how we do our work. And I think that all of these really touch on, and yes, they're all media relations centric, but I think there's some lessons to learn there as well in how we manage clients. One big takeaway from the Blade situation, and I know none of our solos would do this, but I also know that all of us have had clients ask us to do crazy things like that. I too have had a client, we were involving a customer in the story, as we often do, to add more color and to give it more context. And the customer wanted to be anonymous. And I said, well, then we can't use them. Well, can't we make up a name? And the client in their mind thought that was perfectly okay. And I'm like, so no, because that's kind of not how this works. We're not making up names. If he doesn't want to talk to the media, then that's fine. We move on. We find a customer who is willing to talk to the media and use their real name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people really in their heads think that this stuff is okay, which is where I question all of the counselors within the Blade organization. Did no one stand up and say, this is not okay?
Yeah.
Was no one?
Apparently not. Certainly a culture thing. Certainly a culture thing. But
Let's not work in any of those cultures.
no, let's not. Let's aim higher and better. And we thank you for joining us for another episode of That Solo Life. If you have some hot topics that you'd like us to discuss, please send them our way. Check it out at soloprpro.com and send us a note. But until next time, thanks for joining us on That Solo Life.